Farm Schoolers. So Farmer Cindy here. We wanted to show you, we had a chicken this morning when we went in to check the chickens who was down. So that means that she was laying down and she wasn't doing good. So this is her. She is one of the salmon Faverolles. That's her breed. And you can see that she's just not standing up. Her eyes are closed most of the time. She was very cold. She wasn't under the light, so she'd probably been cold. And she's got a fair amount of like diarrhea going on. So we cleaned her up, and we're giving her something called VetRx, which is for poultry. So we just put a couple drops in her beak here and try to get that down. She does seem to be taking it, which is good. Down her gullet, her throat there. And so we want to get her warm, so we brought her into the feed room so that she could get warm, and looked her over to see sometimes they can get mites, and that can cause them to go down. I don't see any evidence of mites on her. So sometimes with chickens it is difficult to tell what's wrong because they can be well and get sick really fast. And it is hard to save them. So we're gonna give her, she probably didn't get any water last night if she was down. So I took a little warm water with a little bit of molasses, which has some sugar to and I'm just this is just 1 ml. So I'm just feeding it to her real slowly. And see how she's drinking that down. So that's a good sign. And to try to see if maybe she's dehydrated, because chickens can get dehydrated very fast. That's one of the important things. If you have chickens, you have to be sure that they have water, because if they go without water for even 24 hours, they can die. So that's super important. And she's probably not going to eat anything right now, I would say. So we'll do a little research and see, what might be causing her illness. And, some of the symptoms we're seeing are the diarrhea, so that could help us figure out what's wrong, and just her overall inability to stand and get up. So we're going to put her into this cage here and leave her in the feed room and let her get warmed up and see if the VetRx makes any difference for her. And so we'll see what we can do. All right, there you go.
Hey Farm Schoolers, just have a quick update for you on the chicken tractor. I can't remember what it looked like last time we did this, but as you see, the roof trusses are on and it's ready. The plywood's going to go up there on the roof, and then I'm going to put a metal roof on top of that. And everything basically is done with the frame. The door is ready, and Zuzu has been a big help, and Taco and Scout have also been good helpers on the tractor this past week. But it's going to look a lot different here in a couple of days. Even though it's cold and windy here today, I'm going to work on it this afternoon and try and get the roof on and hopefully get some of the panels on, so it'll be a little warmer if I'm working on the inside. So that's it for the chicken tractor now. In a couple more days, definitely by next week, it's going to look a lot different. And hopefully we'll have the chickens moved in there next week, because it's supposed to warm up too. So it'd be good to get them outside and out of the livestock trailer. So from Zuzu and Farmer Rich, that's all for now.
Hello, Farm Schoolers. So we thought we would give you an update on the transplants. Now, I think we've talked about what transplants are, but another name for them is seedlings. And they are the plants that you start indoors before it gets warm outside, so that you can give the plants a head start on growing. And the great thing about transplants is that we can control the temperature and the humidity, unlike being able to do that outside, right? Because right now it's super cold and most plants would not do very well outside right now. So when we do transplants, we start them indoors and we get them, to a little, like 4 to 6 inches, maybe a little bit taller. And so that when the weather does get warm, then we can put them outside into the ground and they already have a head start, and that means that we can harvest them sooner. So not all plants are transplanted, but a lot of them are. And so I'm going to show you what we've started doing here, transplanting. So I'm going to turn you around. And so I've been doing transplants in our basement, and I start in here. It's a very messy process, and I start in here. This is a bag of our potting mix that has everything in it that's needed for the plants, and then a little bit of water in this bucket, and then also some worm castings. And if you remember, we said worm castings are worm poop. It's the worm poop that's left over after they eat the compost, and it's super, super fertile and makes the soil very nutritious for the plants. So we mix all of that together in this bucket, and then when I've got a good mixture, I bring it out here to the mixing table. So this is another part of our basement, and this is a mixing table, and on here I have a cell tray. So this is a 72 cell tray. They come in all different sizes. And what we do is we take this soil that we've mixed up and we pour it into this tray, and we get rid of the air holes and we compress it a little bit until it's even with the top of the cell trays. And then I put seeds in each one of those cells. And I tell you what, I have not very often planted from seed because I used to always just buy transplants. And look at this. This is amazing that an entire plant can grow from, look at how teeny these seeds are. Teeny, teeny, teeny. They look like little teeny bugs. And a whole plant is gonna grow just from one of these seeds. It's absolutely amazing. So feels like a very faithful process when you are a farmer and you're planting from seeds, or a home gardener. So I can't even get one on my, they're moving from the static actually. So I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's how teeny those seeds are. And each one of those is going to be a whole plant. Isn't that incredible? Nature is really marvelous. All right, so we plant those seeds into the cell tray, and then I water them in. This is my waterer sprayer. So I water the tops really good, make sure everything's really nice and moist, because for the first part of this process, we need a lot of humidity. So we're going to take you into the growing room, which you've seen before. We're going to come back to this area here in a minute. So the growing room, feels like a tropical room in here because it's very humid and warm. So you can see on my gauge here that it's in the 70s, and then the humidity is above 50% humidity. But that's what the plants need in order to germinate. And remember, we said that's the beginning process when the seed opens up and the plant starts to sprout. So what I've done is I've taken each one of these cell trays and I've put them into a white tray on the bottom and a white tray on the top. So the white tray on the bottom allows me to water them from the bottom. When you water from the top, you can do that, but you can, if you water too much, it can get moldy and it can cause fungus to happen in the cells. So when I water from the bottom, and I fill this tray up with about a ½ inch of water, and from the bottom, then the plants can just suck up however much water they want. They can drink just the amount of water that they want. So it tends to be better for the plants. And then the top tray up here, this one, acts like a dome to trap the humidity. So we really want them to be as warm and humid as they can be right now. There goes the humidifier. So that it creates an environment where the seeds will open up and the plant will start to come out. So you can see these are tomato seeds that I've planted about 3 days ago. So no action yet. They're still in there and waiting to come out, but we'll show you next week. They'll be sprouting by then, I bet. So most of the plants don't need light for this process. Just gonna turn off the humidifier there. It's kind of loud. Most plants don't need light for this process. Some of them do. This is rosemary and it does need a little light to germinate. but most of them don't, so we don't keep the lights on for this part. But once they sprout, then what we do is we take them out of this room, because then they don't need so much humidity, and they don't need it to be quite so warm. Ooh, that's our messy basement that still needs to be cleaned up because we're still moving in. And so then we move them out here to this tray. And remember, we showed you this last week. This is the lights, the growing lights. So we've got cool and warm colored lights here. And this is the tray that we planted last week with the vacuum seeder. So these are beets. And you can see they're doing okay. We didn't have great germination. There's a number of cells where we don't have any plants. And that could be because I didn't have a seed in them, because I was new to doing the vacuum seeder, or it could be that they just didn't germinate. Those seeds didn't start to grow. So you want to try and get a really high percentage of germination, but it's a process. You have to figure out how much moisture and how far to have the lights away and what temperature. So I'm definitely new at it and I'm still practicing. So I talked to a lot of farmers to learn how to do this the right way. So, and then once these are in here for 4 to 6 weeks, or even a little bit longer for tomatoes, then we will take them outside and we'll plant them because the weather will be warm enough and the soil will be warm. So here's where we're at with the transplants. More to come. What kind of dog keeps the best time? I don't know, Zuzu. What kind? A watchdog. Oh, oh, oh. Why do you have to be careful when it rains cats and dogs? I don't know, Zuzu. Why? Because you might step in a poodle. Oh, 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 oh. Good jokes, Zuzu. Good jokes. All right, well, we also wanted to give you an update on the last and final spring birth here at Cardinal Farms, which happened this morning. So this is Cookie, the ewe, and this is her ewe lamb that we came out this morning at about 8:30, and she was born, no complications, nothing, everything went great. Mama looks great, baby looks great. So we dipped her umbilical cord in iodine like we normally do, and then we checked Mama to make sure she had milk, which she did, and the lamb has already been feeding. She's been doing good. We haven't weighed her yet because Mama is pretty protective. Yes. She's pretty protective, but that's exactly what you want with a baby, to look good. The mom looks good. She passed her placenta, so about an hour after the ewe lamb was born, her placenta comes out, and this is a gross alert, but usually the mamas will eat the placenta. So it's just something they do instinctively. It probably has a lot of nutrients in it for them. It could also be because when they were in the wild, they would not want to leave the scent of the blood in order to draw predators. So by eating that, they removed that from that scent. So, but they still do it, and we let them do it because it's good for them. And so she did that, so she's all cleaned up. And so far, everything is going good. So we did put the heat lamp on today just because it's super chilly out, and they're wet when they're born. Yes, Mama. Mama says that's enough filming. And but she probably won't need that for more than a day or two once it warms up. So this is the little, and we don't have a name for her yet. So I guess you guys will have to give us some more ideas for names. We're running out of name ideas. We've had so many babies here at the farm. Babies. So, and there's Radar, the bottle baby lamb. He is just attached to Rich. We think he's imprinted on Rich as his new mom because he follows Rich everywhere. So of course Rich is the one bottle feeding him most of the time. So he says, "This is where my food comes from now. So this is my new mom. You're a good lamb mom."
And goat mom.
And goat mom, or dad, as the case may be. But he is getting huge, and he's being really healthy. So It's a little more work to bottle feed, but we're really glad that he is doing so well.
Yes, you are.
Everybody's good, and we're done with spring lambing. And kidding.
And kidding. Not kidding.
Not kidding. We're all done. So our other update today is the garlic. Woo! It is chilly. So the other day we took most of the straw off the garlic because it was starting to get yellow and it was warm. So you see we left some on because we are still having some cold weather. But some of the leaves were yellow and now they're starting to green up now that they're getting more sunlight. And you're starting to see more of the green tops come up. Now, because it did get below freezing last night, we probably should have done this last night, but we will do it tonight for the next couple nights. We're going to put something called frost cover, and that's this big long roll here. Frost cover on top of the plants, and what it is, it's just a real thin covering, and we lay this over the plants, and we might put even a couple layers of it over, and then weight it down with sandbags. And what that does is that increases the temperature underneath the plants by a few degrees, so it keeps it above freezing and allows them to stay a little bit warmer. So kind of what the straw does without requiring us to put the straw back on. So something that growers use to help keep their plants from getting frostbite, which is not good for plants or for people actually. So we'll do that because we're having this cold snap that is absolutely killing us. So we're hoping that it passes really soon and everything can keep growing. And then once that passes, we're going to take this tarp up and get our planting on. We're getting excited.
And build our caterpillar tunnel.
And build our caterpillar tunnel. Ooh, you guys don't even know what that is. Caterpillar tunnel.
Maybe you'll see that next week.
Yeah, keep tuned in. Here's a quick view of the main play yard. We've got all the kid goats out here now, and most of the lambs, except for the bottle baby and the new one that was just born this morning. So, but everybody else is out, including Hope. There she is. There's Hope. She's learning to run and jump. It's been really adorable watching her learn to be outside. And then the other three are just getting huge already. So, and the babies are doing really good as well. The kid goats are doing great. So they don't seem to mind the cold too much, and especially the sheep because they're covered in lots of wool. And they're always buying about something. Not sure exactly what it is they want, but yeah, so everybody's out here and learning to get along with one another.